Welcome, everybody, to another live recording of the Business Travel 360 Linking the Travel Industry podcast, where we discuss travel industry news you are talking about on LinkedIn. My name is Rian, and I'm one of your hosts today. I'm a co-founder at Agentivity, where we do some very clever things with the booking data flowing through a TMC. So if that sounds of interest, you want to talk some more about that, please don't hesitate to get in touch. As usual, I'm joined by Ash and Anne to help me discuss our list of stories with you. Over to you, Anne.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Anne. I'm an independent consultant with LeapShift, and I'm happy to help with distribution strategies, anything on one order, NDC. Over to you, Ash.
Thank you, Anne. Hi, everyone. My name is Ash. I'm the host of a weekly business travel podcast called What's Up in Business Travel, where we give you only the important updates in under 15 minutes. Additionally, I'm the Vice President of Client Success at Traxo, and this is Linking the Travel Industry.
So I see the room filling up nicely. For those new to this event, very welcome. Welcome to our regular listeners as well. The format of this discussion is a quick, non-biased, and mostly spontaneous review of the previous week's top LinkedIn travel industry-related stories. And we also really want to hear from you as we go along. So if you have a comment on any of the stories we talk about, please do share that, and we'll bring it on screen as well. So last week was week 44, and we start with the unfortunate news out of the UK that the UK-based Eastern Airways went into administration. They were a oil and gas worker type shuttle airline. And of course, this is very, very bad timing for that area as well. But it's always sad, of course, to see the collapse of an airline or indeed any business.
I was rather surprised to see an oil company actually go into reconstruction. I didn't think that was possible. But it also goes to show how closely linked, of course, regional airlines typically are with business. And how do we find solutions to sustain? I mean, that's clearly you need airlines for this purpose. Do you just have leasing companies for that purpose?
Moving on to some investment news, this is very interesting to me. It was announced that Air France-KLM is taking a minority stake in WestJet. No amounts, as far as I could tell, were disclosed, and it is just a minority stake. And we always like it when airlines invest in other airlines, right?
This is far more important than the alliances as such, the way I see it. This is more of an economic alliance. And of course, I think this is very strategic for Air France-KLM. It's a good move.
Ash, what did you make of that news?
Well, what reminded me is how this is connected to Delta. So I'll throw some numbers at you. As you know, Delta owns 10% of the Air France-KLM group. Delta also owns 17% of WestJet. So if you connect the dots here, it's almost like there's a birth of an airline called SkyTeam, possibly. I've realized that Delta is doing something that I don't think any other airline has done before, which is position themselves to be involved in the boardrooms of these airlines. And because Delta leads in so many categories around revenue and success, I think that they're well poised to command some attention when they speak about strategy.
Moving on, this is not new news, but we talked about this before. Indigo has been making plans to revise or relaunch their Delhi Guangzhou in China routes and their new route Mumbai-London as well. So the only thing that was mentioned in this post is that they actually went ahead and they've now started flying on those routes. Anything I've missed there, Ash?
Well, there's also a flight from Calcutta to China as well that launches simultaneously to this.
Also Indigo.
Yes, also Indigo. So it's a daily flight. So now you get 2 flights out of India into China, whereas you never had any at all. So that's a big deal. And then, regarding the Mumbai-London route, I've said this before, I just don't like the city pair and airport choices there. I'd rather it be from the Mumbai-Navi airport to Gatwick.
I agree with you. I think they missed a beat there. I think they could have done very well with a different airport pair.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Imagine booking a flight, reserving a hotel, and filing your expense report, all during your favorite coffee break at your desk. That's what Italite makes possible, a modern, all-in-one platform for business travel and expenses. Why choose Italite? Because we combine smart technology with effortless workflows, helping companies save money while making travel simpler and faster for employees. Italite, the smarter way to travel for work. Discover more at idylight.com.
And speaking of airlines launching routes, it was big news last week with Riyadh Air launching their London flights. They are open to the public. They are carrying passengers, and we believe those passengers are mostly staff, and they're doing that to keep that slots that they've managed to get at Heathrow. And so it obviously also gives them a chance to test out their service and all that stuff. So there's a lot of good stuff. But the reason why that sparked a very interesting discussion and post is in that we've been talking about Riyadh Air going forward with a different way of distributing their content, very focused on offer and order and all that stuff. Anne and I saw a post by Benjamin Waymark from Inc., where he used the phrase delivery with order. It was just saying, you can't believe they've now done this, and it's done and it's great, blah, blah. So I started asking questions, and then Anne started asking questions because we wanted more detail. And we were so pleasantly surprised with a fantastic post by Benjamin Waymark. And he did a great job explaining more about delivery with order. A lot of detail in there, a lot of great answers in there that we really liked. And I thought it was worth just shouting out this post and congratulating Benjamin for going into it and not just saying, whatever. Normally we get quite brushed off with these detailed requests for more information, but Benjamin did a great job. Right, Anne?
He did indeed. And it's very unusual. Like you said, it's very, very unusual that we see people reply to the questions that we have. And it's very refreshing. I did actually say on the post that I think he said more about delivery with order than I've actually heard from the working group of Coalition of the Willing for the last, 5 years or something. So he did do a very good job, I must say. There are no commercial passengers on the Riyadh flights. I saw a good post by Oliver Ransom. He said that there were no commercial passengers on board. It's staff and a limited number of guests.
Turn to the audience to say thank you for joining us. We're not done. We've got a few more stories. Do tell us where you're listening from. If you can throw a comment in and tell us where you're listening from, we'll get your name on screen. The purpose here is to link as many of us as possible, and we want to create more connections in our industry. So just tell us where you're listening from. We like hearing from our audience around the world, and we'll get your name on screen. And ideally, you'll get a few more connection requests. But really, it was just to say thank you for giving us your time on a Monday. We've got a few more stories to cover. Very shockingly, there were two major incidents involving air rage or, incidents on a plane. First one, luckily the plane was still on the ground, but it was a United Airlines flight. It was delayed for more than 4 hours after an onboard dispute broke out between two flight attendants before departure, and they had to be removed and reaccommodated and all that stuff. So very, very bad incident there. The next story involves a far more serious incident, which was a Lufthansa flight from Chicago to Frankfurt that was forced to divert after a passenger allegedly stabbed two teenagers with a metal fork and assaulted another passenger mid-flight. So obviously a very serious issue there. We're seeing more of this, Anne, or are we just seeing more reporting of it?
When I saw this, I was quite intrigued because I experienced personally a couple of, let's say, much smaller incidents. But I boarded a flight from Stockholm to Copenhagen. When I entered the plane, one of the flight attendants said to the other flight attendant that's enough. I'm never talking to you ever again. And they'd obviously been arguing, and it seemed very, very intense. And I thought, ooh, this is not very good timing. I also experienced a week later flying actually to Charles de Gaulle, having a flight attendant behind me saying loud, how can anyone be so stupid as to have less than 2 hours at Charles de Gaulle? And that's made me reflect that maybe it's a combination of both. Maybe it's this sort of online media behavior that we so dislike that is sort of moving into this world as well, that we're seeing this kind of behavior with flight attendants, and that's bad.
Don't you think there is just also more stress on flight attendants these days with everything going on? I mean, flights are packed, their schedules are packed, people are taking... I mean, if I look at some of the Ryanair flights we're on and those kind of flights where we won't see Ash, but, normal people fly, the stress levels are high because people are trying to cheat the system, push more bags in. I've been on flights where it's fairly stressful.
Well, I think the stress levels have been high ever since we saw the change, post 9/11. Once upon a time, it was heaven to be a flight attendant. It is no more heaven, right? But I think it's the outspokenness of people. I can sort of say what I want, despite being a flight attendant, which I think is really bad.
One of the reasons why I think that all of this occurs is that this is a result of things like $29 fares. When you start to scrape the bottom of the barrel and you start to find the lowest possible deal, and everything is about the lowest possible deal all the time. And keep in mind that you are literally on a aircraft that's flying 500 miles per hour, 35,000 feet. So it's a pretty extraordinary experience that you're going through. But these $29 fares are destroying the entire ecosystem. They're pushing out these $2 sandwiches. It's not a flight attendant level type activity.
I can't say I agree, Ash. The majority of flight attendants I meet are simply lovely. And as for Lufthansa, there are no $29 flights.
Imagine how much nicer they would be if everybody was buying a $100 fare.
And there's something there. I mean, one of the things that is a reality now is we see more people flying that has never flown before, which is, a good thing. But at the same time, like I said, in my opinion, I think it ups the stress level with regards to what they have to tell people and repeat the same thing. And no, ma'am, you cannot stand up now. You have to sit down now. And this is how the seatbelt works. And because somebody the other day said, why are airlines still giving us instructions how a seatbelt works? Surely everybody knows how a seatbelt works. There's a grain of salt in there, Ash, I will give you. I think there's something there. So it's been announced that Virgin Group has been given the okay to launch a competitor service on the Channel Tunnel. So basically having to compete with Eurostar, which has been very monopolistic. Wasn't there meant to be a competitor to them some time ago?
And I under the impression that it was Thales.
But of course, this is the news that Ash has been waiting for, because he's been waiting to go on that train from London to Paris. Now, with Virgin, you can, Ash.
Either I could take this and spend 5 hours commuting by train, or I could take a $29 Ryanair fare with my crappy flight attendants and crappy everything and enjoy that luxurious ride.
A tough choice.
I know you all are very happy about this scenario. I think Richard's going to lose money. As much as you want to push rail for all sorts of reasons like sustainability and other things like that, it's absolutely dead. No one wants it.
The revival of rail has never been bigger. It is incredible.
I mean, I love trains in Spain and France and Italy and Portugal.
Some very innovative services now. There's a new pod train with pod sleepers. It's very clever stuff happening in rail at the moment. So. No, I think he's going to make good money on that route, and the prices of Eurostar are insane. It's insane, those prices, because they can charge what they want, basically.
Yes,
My guess is that this is not going to happen.
Let's see. We've had a few very nice comments, guys. Thank you so much. Before we get to the extra stories, I just want to go through them quickly. Susan from Sydney, still up, listening to us, so thank you very much. Susan, always good to hear from you. Ahmed from Frankfurt, and we've got Christoph in Poland. This is old George out of Athens listening to us, who's there anonymously on LinkedIn. George, nice to see you again and hear from you. Thank you very much. And Ash, you've got a comment there from Christopher about your $29 fare, less than the airport taxes. So yeah, they are just grabbing people to get on planes. Indeed. Thank you for those comments, guys. We do appreciate that. So those were the stories on my list. I'm sure we have some extra stories. And you have an extra story or two for us?
I haven't been able to find it on LinkedIn, so I apologize for that. But I couldn't resist when I saw Head for Points that I think are, they got some really, really good articles. And about this poor guy who experienced, sadly, that we know happens way too much of it in the industry, the fraud in loyalty points. He was experiencing that he had linked his BA and Qatar account, and then he experienced this massive fraud of losing 300,000 points. His first reaction was that he unlinked the accounts. Then he's been told by British Airways, and I'm sorry for laughing, but I think it's so funny that he cannot link these accounts back again for 50 years. 50 years. I would personally find that rather depressing.
Is that why they're launching a new website, British Airways?
So you can go there to link it. Yes. If we find that story, we should comment on the post, because I would love to read that as well. That is fantastic.
It is. It is fantastic.
Hey, did you guys notice that they launched a new website? Well, I'm not kidding. Just went to BA.com and they have a new website up.
It will
Did you get
solve
an
all our
email? I
problems.
didn't get an email. I didn't get any press release. Was there a press release? No, I'm serious.
No,
Come on.
they just left it up to us to cover it, Ash. That's all. That's fine.
Once you click the search
Yes,
on the first page,
It's just the front page.
oh, I was so excited for a second. I was like, this is what I've been waiting for.
Not expecting anybody to actually search. It's just to visit the website.
Show.
That's all.
Yeah.
Just marketing.
We're going to run out of time. And thank you very much. Ash, any extra stories from you?
This past week, United also released some third quarter numbers. So premium cabin in the third quarter increased by 6%, and the premium class revenue per seat available mile outperformed main cabin by 5 points. This is very similar to what happened with Delta. You start to see airlines, maybe for the first time, are actually seeing more money coming in from premium cabin. So now you start to see airlines investing in the product as a result of the numbers, which is around that, hey, I want a new plane with more premium seats in it than what I used to have. With United, now they also just launched their loyalty reward program with JetBlue. So remember that United and JetBlue had a big partnership called Blue Skies. And that partnership was all conceptual. Now it's actually happening where a TrueBlue member, which is the JetBlue mileage program, can receive rewards and points when they fly in United. One of the things that we'll see in early Q1 is reciprocal perks and benefits. With revenue booking, you start to see priority boarding and preferred legroom seating being available. So all these things that travelers are looking for, especially if you're a United flyer on JetBlue, I think you'll see a lot of benefits. And JetBlue tried to do this with American. If you remember, there was a lot of crossover with them, and then the government shut it down. So this is definitely something that JetBlue has been looking for. They didn't find it with American, but they're finding it with United.
Very cool. So no $29 fares there with United, right? It's all premium fares. Okay, cool. Well, thank you for that. And thank you for, I think that's good timing because I think that is a wrap as far as I can tell. Thank you for those in the audience participating today and giving us your comments. We love that as well. We do this weekly. Ash will remind us about that at the end. But thank you for comments and thank you, Anne and Ash. Over to you, Anne.
Like Rian said, we love it when you interact and all the comments. And a special kudos to Susan from Sydney. Over to you, Ash.
Thank you all for joining today's live recording of Linking the Travel Industry. We record this podcast live every week on Monday, and we ask that you share this event with others that you know. Chances are high that if you enjoyed today's session, those that you know will as well. If you ever miss a show because of time zone or availability, we make the podcast available on businesstravel360.com. This is Linking the Travel Industry, signing off.